One of my favorite things to do is just to make sure to have a little bite of something to eat, especially if you're stepping into a party where you know there's going to be a plethora of fun foods and dips and things like that. Just having something with a little bit of some protein, some good complex carbs. So, for example, maybe an apple with some peanut butter, some crackers with hummus, just so you're not showing up to this party completely starving, ravenous. Because I don't know about you guys, but when I do that, I know I tend to go overboard in the buffalo chicken dip and the treats and things like that. So going in a more neutral state of hunger is definitely helpful for me.
Yes, I think it's helpful when you get to the party to kind of take a minute and scope out what all of your options are so that you can think about what you really want to put on your plate. Then you can make your plate. And then I always tell people, walk away from the table so that you're not standing right next to the chicken dip with all the chips and just kind of going at it. So you can always take your plate away from the table, sit down and eat. If you're still hungry afterwards, go back and get some more. It's fine, but just kind of give yourself a little bit of space there at the party.
Right. And remember that those foods are not just going to be available once every 365 days. In most cases, if it's something that you really like and you don't get a chance to eat it, typically you can recreate it. You can make it next week, next month, 6 months from now. Even something like a turkey, is just as delicious in July as it is in November.
Yeah. And I feel like with like kind of stemming off of that, just getting rid of the all or nothing mentality where, you feel like you've been saving up and waiting for all of these things and that you've indulged. So now why not just keep going? Just finding that good balance, getting what you really enjoy, or have been looking forward to, if you really love a certain dip or a certain cookie that your family member makes, really enjoy it. And have no shame or guilt around that. But not feeling like you have to eat everything that's there and just really choosing which ones that you really enjoy.
And going off of that too, making sure you're honoring like hunger cues. That's something that I really always try to focus on. Like, no, I don't want to, be hungry at a party or, feel like I can't be eating everything there. But also, just because it's delicious doesn't mean I have to eat like all of what's left there and then be overly stuffed. So we're like really honoring, like, am I hungry? Do I want more? Am I just near the table and like nibbling at things more and kind of being a little aware of that?
I think going off of what you were saying, Samantha, about the like all or nothing, I think that's something that like a lot of people can get into that mindset. And so kind of breaking away from that and just knowing that this day isn't different than any other day, we obviously want to have a balanced plate majority of the time, but if this is a day where you're gonna enjoy food, enjoy time with your family, and there's no vegetables around, it's also okay for one day that you might not have a balanced plate. And so making room for that and not having any guilt around it and just enjoying the holidays, I think is one of the most important parts of the holidays.
Right,
I totally agree.
I
think, oh, sorry, Caroline, you can go.
Oh, no worries. I was just going to say something I say a lot is like our habits, our health, our weight are really about what we're doing like most of the time. And there's always room for holidays and events and just finding balance with that so it can take some of the pressure off.
I was going to say that, you can absolutely fill your plate with all the foods that you love. It's super, super important to do. But if there are vegetables, they're really super big on volume and low in calories. So they're a great way to fill up your Thanksgiving plate, in addition to the foods that you love. So it's awesome to do that. And also, I always recommend staying hydrated because it's super, super important. So don't give up on your water goals just because it's Thanksgiving Day or Christmas Day or whatever holiday it is.
So kind of stemming off of that, why don't we talk a little bit about hydration, and alcohol is always a hot topic. So any tips for the holidays or even just time off? I feel like between now and the end of the year, we have time off. So our schedules might be a little off, which can throw off. I know for me, like weekends, I have to be a little bit more structured with my water than weekdays when I'm working. So just any tips for that?
I think the first most important thing is like, if you don't currently or typically drink or you don't want to drink, definitely not one of those things that's going to be promoting necessarily. So not adding that in just for the sake of this. But if you know that's going to be part of kind of your day to day over the holidays, if that's a way that you kind of connect with your family and just how you guys spend time, just looking for opportunities to make better decisions. So let's say, for example, you wanted to have a cocktail. Okay, so our cocktail's already got some alcohol in it. So, perhaps choosing a little bit of a lighter mixer. So rather than going for something super sugary like a margarita or a vodka pineapple drink, swapping for something that's going to be a little bit lighter, like a vodka soda with a splash of pineapple. So you can still have a little bit of that flavor, but not necessarily all of the added sugar that's going to come along with, several glasses worth of just straight juice.
And
Yeah,
if
what
you
about like
do,
volume?
I was going to say, if you do plan on drinking, it can sometimes help to just know ahead of time to say, okay, I'm going to have like 1 to 2 drinks tonight, so that, the decision's kind of made ahead of time before you're there and everyone's around, and maybe everyone's, having food and alcohol there, to just kind of go in with an idea of like what your plan is for the night.
Yeah,
I
I
know
definitely
some
think that
people,
those parameters help. Go
sorry.
ahead.
I know some people feel like they're kind of like left out, or they feel just different if they're abstaining from drinking. So, if that's something that you feel sometimes, make sure you bring something special to the dinner to drink, right? So maybe you're not going to have wine, but maybe you can bring sparkling apple cider, or a really nice mineral water that you can put some fruit in or something like that, so that you have something that feels different and special without it having to be alcohol based.
Yeah, we actually did that for Thanksgiving. We had like fun cocktails and mocktails, and we had the same glasses. We put rosemary and cranberries. It's fun no matter what it is. So that way, to your point, or if you're going somewhere and you're bringing a cooler, bring seltzer waters and cans and use a koozie or whatever. If it's something that you enjoy, it doesn't have to be alcohol. Or like Caroline said, if you have those, if you have a 2-drink rule, in between each one, have a non-alcoholic drink that you can sip on as well, to kind of slow it down if it's going to be a longer night and you just want something fun to sip on.
Yeah, and like a good way to do like a cocktail that isn't super heavy in the sugar is just kind of really leaning into like the limes or the lemons or the oranges, squeezing a bunch of sparkling water flavored of some sort, and like a lighter liquor versus the darker liquors. Those are going to be a little bit lighter in the sugar. So it's kind of a good way to reduce the sugar content. And then like you said, Samantha, like between drinks, make it a mocktail or something. So you have kind of a drink in your hand and kind of enjoying the social outing without having it be loads of alcohol that you didn't maybe really want to engage in.
Exactly. All right. Perfect. On to another hot topic, is food police versus food pushers. And I think we all have someone in our minds we can think of around, holiday gatherings. Some people are wanting you to eat more of the foods. It makes them happy, or pushing more foods. And then food police being people who are watching over what you're eating, or making, inappropriate comments about what you're eating or indulging in. So I think so let's start with the food pushers. So whether it's, something that you can say back to them, or a behavior, or how you can handle it, just some tips for how to handle someone, pushing food on you around the holidays.
So I'm a fan of just telling people to say no or no thank you, and really being clear with their boundaries about, what they're choosing to eat that day.
I love Jess's response, and I wish I could be more like her in those firm boundaries. But I'm someone who usually has to take a more gentle approach, because that's just the people pleaser in me. So I'll usually say something along the lines of, hey, that looks super awesome. I'm so full from this dinner. So, I would love to take a little goodie bag of those cookies home with me so I can enjoy them when I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable, something along those lines.
Love that. Both are good
Yeah,
approaches.
or even letting somebody know, yeah, hey, that looks great. I'm really full right now. Maybe I'll come back for some in an hour. So after I kind of have a minute to rest. And maybe you do, maybe you don't, but you let them know that, hey, I'm just gonna listen to my body right now, and we'll see how it goes.
Or you could do like a take home bag. I know that's something I recommend a lot is if it's like a family gathering, everyone bringing Tupperware or bags or using like the throwaway tins and filling some up for leftovers, so that you don't have to overindulge. And then the people that want to push food on you, you can take it home and enjoy it at your own pace and your own time. Any other things that you could say or how you could handle food? For sure. All right. How about the food police? So people who are watching over your food or making inappropriate comments or making you feel uncomfortable during holiday gatherings.
I think this is a place where you can really talk about if you feel comfortable like responding. You can also just say in either way, hey, I'm full, hey, I'm still hungry, I am getting seconds. And then something I always encourage clients to do, I think this comes up not just during the holidays, but all like it can happen anytime. If you're with friends, with family that might make comments about your food or the way that you're eating, a lot of the times it's going to be someone that's close to you, I find. And so I think that if you feel comfortable, if this is someone you have a more intimate relationship with, is just saying, hey, you care about this person. It might be a spouse, a sibling, a friend, and being like, hey, these are my health goals. This is what I'm working on. And I would really appreciate if you didn't make comments about it. And so I think sometimes it just takes, just having a conversation with that person that you're close to and letting them know kind of what's going on your side and like what goals you're working on. And it can really open up their perspective of, why you might be making the decisions that you are.
Yeah, I feel like the education piece is really important, and people don't always even realize that they're doing that or how it affects the person that they're talking to. So sometimes just bring it to their attention, even if it's in private after the fact. Maybe, their behaviors will change if you just kind of bring it up to them. Cheesy.
Yeah. And I feel like we shouldn't have to feel like we have to explain ourselves, but if it's someone you're close to, I think it's definitely something that, it can just be like healthy relationship communication.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Sometimes maybe if it's somebody that you're less close to or that you don't want to have as much of a confrontational talk with or confrontational response, kind of just ignoring it or kind of, shrugging and then kind of changing the topic, I think is also a really valid response that works pretty well most of the time as well. If that feels more comfortable with, maybe somebody that you're a little bit more distant with.
Anything else? Any other tips? I mean, it's your choice, your body. You could also say, I know I need more food. I'm still hungry. Yeah, I'm going to eat more. I'll make that decision. So there's a lot of different approaches. I think it's just realizing that it's no one's place to tell you that, and having the confidence in whatever way that is, whether it's more direct, whether it's in a more beat around the bush kind of way, whatever works for you, but validating your feelings around that it's not appropriate, and hopefully, it doesn't affect you enjoying the holiday and what you want to eat. How about for kids or teens for Allison and Jessica?
Yeah, I think this is a really tough time of year for kids, and all the things that we've talked about here. Kids don't necessarily have the the knowledge or the power to be able to say that to their family members. So I think this is a great time for parents to really get involved and start to have those conversations, especially with the kind of the biggest food pushers and food police and the family members, so that you know, they know in advance of the big celebration that, you know, you really don't want these conversations to be had around your child. And then it gives you a place where you can say at the actual, in the moment, right, that you can go back to and say, hey, we talked about this. We're not going to have this conversation today. We can talk about it another day, just me and you know, and keep it amongst the adults.
Yeah, I totally agree. That was very well said. And I just think that it's just important to emphasize the less you talk about food to kids, the better. That's as simple as it is. The less you talk about it, the better.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I feel like that was all really good takeaways. And just, you know, that it's hopefully it's not supposed to be stressful. And like you said, Allison, like the focus when you're eating doesn't need to be around food and eating. Like enjoy company, you know, while you're there, and trying to focus there. So it's like a peaceful, non-stressful environment that everyone can just enjoy and do what they want to do. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful. I'd love to just go around and everyone say like your favorite kind of holiday dish, or, you know, something along those lines. I know I'm putting you all on the spot. So I'll start so you all can think on it. This is really random and I don't know that it's my actual favorite dish, but it's like nostalgic to me. I love I make like puppy chow, but it's reindeer chow. So it's just festive and fun and I love making it. I have, you know, holiday music on, and it's just something like I always bring to gatherings. I make a ton of it so I can give it out. And then I also make homemade caramels with my dad, and we listen to music and do that too. So 2 fun things, maybe not my favorite food dish, but just fun little traditional things that I like to make.
I want both of those recipes.
I can give you.
Please.
I know that I agree. Those sound so good.
I do. But I'll go next. My favorite is always like the sweet potatoes. I feel like they're pretty much a staple on the Thanksgiving and the Christmas dinner tables in my family. And whichever fashion that they're made, I typically always love them. Whether it's like a sweet potato casserole with a nice like brown sugar pecan topping, or sweet potatoes in like a bourbon maple glaze, or whatever it may be, they're always so great to me. And I love kind of taking a bite of something salty on my plate, like maybe ham or something like that, with a bite of the sweet potato to get kind of the sweet and salty taste.
My favorite is
I can
my
go next.
grandmother's. Oh, sorry.
Go
My
ahead.
favorite. My favorite is my grandmother's peanut butter cookies. So every year I take my kids, since they were real little, I take my kids over to my mother's house and we bake cookies together one day before, and those are my absolute favorite. I sneak them all before they even make their way into the container to take home.
I think mine is like the same as Thanksgiving. I think last year I got into a baking frenzy. I'm normally not a baker, like I like cooking. And I started experimenting making pies. So my favorite one is like a dark chocolate pecan. And so I'm like looking forward to maybe making it this year. We'll see how the time works out. But definitely just like trying new recipes, whether it's cooking or baking.
Marissa, I'm totally on board with you on that one. I want to start a new tradition this year. This isn't something I've done in the past, but for some reason just got a random craving for it. But this year I want to try making a cheesecake and making it a little bit more festive by adding the red cherries on top. So I'll be experimenting too. So we'll have to swap some recipes.
You got to have the water bath. That's like the key.
Okay, I'll be messaging you for your recipes and tips.
My favorite one is, oh, sorry. My
You-
favorite one is the hot chocolate. So like anything with just like a nice hot chocolate on the side with like marshmallows on it, and that's just any dessert with that.
My favorite is anything with cranberries in it. I love to put cranberries on like everything during the holidays. Like I love cranberry, obviously relish, salsa. I like it in cookies with white chocolate. I like it in pies. I like cranberry, everything. I like to put it in drinks, like some seltzer water with some cranberry. So good. Festive.
I really want to
Delicious.
try the cranberry salsa. It sounds so good.
Cranberry salsa is so good. It's like my favorite thing. Recipe in the recent
have
blog
a-
post.
No, you need to send that because I've never even had that or thought of that before. So it sounds
It's
amazing.
in the blog
But
post. The Thanksgiving recipes. That was her featured recipe.
oh yeah. Okay, yeah, I need to get into those and try them because there's a lot of really good ones in there. But yeah, Christmas morning we do a casserole. It's like a breakfast casserole with just like chopped up white, like just like your breads with cheese, egg, kind of all up in there. Mix it up uh, and pour it in. You've got a sausage of some type, whatever it is we do, and then put it in the oven and enjoy your Christmas morning. And then halfway through opening gifts and enjoying the morning, we do our casserole, and it's always just really nice and festive and fun. And we only do that once a year, so
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I'm a big dessert person, so my favorite thing is probably just any dessert. I always like to make like just a classic chocolate chip cookie or brownies. Any pie with ice cream is always going to be my favorite.
Sounds good. I love how most of us went like sweets for the most part. But yeah, so all right. Well, thanks everyone for sharing your tips and food and everything. And we hope you all have a great holiday season.